When games bring back old content, it's usually not exactly the same, and Mario Kart Wii's retro tracks are no exception. This installment brought back 16 tracks from older Mario Kart titles, and many of them changed much more than you might remember. In this video we're going through every retro track in order, comparing each remake to its original version and breaking down all the most significant changes. Let's just get right into it. Starting us off is the first retro track, Peach Beach, originally from Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube. Right away we can see a major difference at the beginning of the track with the removal of the warp pipe and the path leading to it. In Double Dash, going through this pipe would launch you high up into the sky before dropping you right back down to where you started. And while it did have a double item box, it still never really seemed worth taking as you would lose a lot of time, so it honestly makes sense that they removed it, as cool as it was. It does balance out though, because a bit further up in the track they added a boost ramp along with a few item boxes to go with it. They also add a crate beside it featuring a pianta that cheers you on as you race. On top of that, they added a couple extra item boxes along the left path around the pink rock formation, and they also replaced one of the blue cataquacks with a green one, which feels like a very random change considering there was already another green cataquack there, meaning the track now has no blue ones at all. The next track, Yoshi Falls, barely has any significant changes from its original version in Mario Kart DS. The only details worth mentioning I could find are that the ramp towards the end of the track has yellow arrows added to its surface in the Wii version. Moving on to Ghost Valley 2 from the Super Nintendo, the first noticeable difference from the original is the addition of the sign directly above the finish line. The original also featured several more item boxes in the first set, but barely any further in the race. Apart from that, the track largely remains the same. Mario Raceway, however, has undergone much more noticeable changes in its transition from the Nintendo 64 to Mario Kart Wii. Like most of the retro tracks, the signs were updated for the Wii, but what's most interesting is how the original N64 version of the shoot signs read the past tense shot instead. My guess is that this is just a translation issue that they ended up fixing for the Wii. Regarding the track layout, many of the item box placements were altered. In the original version, the first item box set appears slightly further up in the course, and the second item box set is actually missing entirely. Additionally, the ramp and item box located in the grass section in the Wii version did not exist in the N64 version. However, the most noticeable difference is the giant green pipe at the track's end, which is actually significantly shorter in the original. We start off the Banana Cup with Sherbet Land, also remade from the Nintendo 64. In the original, the boost panels on the outer edges of the track that are present in the Wii version were completely absent, but aside from a missing item box or two, the rest of the track remains pretty untouched. Similarly, Shy Guy Beach is also barely changed from its original version in Mario Kart Super Circuit. Really the only significant changes are the addition of a few item boxes here and there on the Wii, as well as the starting line sign. And Delfino Square also continues a trend of minimal changes from its original version on the DS. I will mention that the Wii added many piantas in the crowd watching the race, which is definitely one of my favorite additions. Waluigi Stadium, however, has several noticeable changes from its original version on the GameCube. Firstly, the half pipes on the Wii are completely absent in Double Dash, and the item boxes that were on them are either missing or placed directly on the track's surface instead. The layouts of the mechanical piranha plants were also altered, being positioned on opposite sides of the track. Finally, at the end of the course, the original featured a small dirt mound protruding from the ground, which the Wii version evidently would smooth out. Next, we are back to a DS track with Desert Hills. This track didn't really change much aside from Mario Kart Wii adding a few item boxes at the end, so we'll move on. There's a lot to cover with Bowser's Castle 3. Again, in the original Game Boy Advance version, there's no sign above the starting line. After that, the first set of item boxes is also shifted slightly forward and contains only 2 boxes compared to the 6 in the Wii version. In fact, many other item boxes are also missing in the original, especially those behind the thwomps. Additionally, the boost ramp in the middle of the track was only added in the Wii remake. And at the end, the Magic Koopa who rides back and forth on a broom in the Super Circuit version is unfortunately removed entirely. DK's Jungle Parkway is another track that saw a plethora of changes from its original Nintendo 64 version. Firstly, the ferry has a drastically different appearance, and even features some company in the Wii version. A funny detail is that when going through the original boost ramp, you can actually fly straight through the ship if it happens to cross at the same time. And speaking of the ramp, it's much more dangerous in the original version, since it doesn't automatically align you for liftoff like it does on the Wii. Because of that, you can actually fall into the water if you're not careful. And speaking of, the water takes on a much brighter blue color in the original, compared to the yellowish color seen in Mario Kart Wii. Another interesting difference is that in the original, off-screen monkeys throw what could be rocks at you if you get too close to their territory in the off-road. I just hope they actually are rocks and not something else. Lastly, a set of item boxes appears in the cave. In the original version also features much less off-road in that section. As for GCN Mario Circuit, I honestly couldn't spot any noticeable changes in its remake for the Wii. But if any of you happen to know any differences on this track, or any of the others for that matter, be sure to let me know in the comments below. On to the last of the retro tracks with the Lightning Cup, where SNES Mario Circuit 3 is also very bare bones when it comes to changes. The only differences I could spot in the original were larger item box sets compared to the Wii version, the race being 5 laps instead of 3, and the common absence of the sign above the starting line. The original Peach Gardens on the DS does feature a starting line sign, however it is curiously positioned further up from the line than in the Wii version. Additionally, none of the chain chomps have tails in the original, a very strange sight to see, and the ramps present at the end of the track in the Wii version were also absent in the original. GCN DK Mountain features a giant sign at the beginning reading Donkey Cannon, which was changed in the Wii version to the shortened DK Cannon. The cannon launch itself also lasts a bit longer in the original compared to its successor. After the cannon, the absence of the ramps we know from Mario Kart Wii is immediately noticeable in Double Dash, and the transition from the rocky section of the mountain to the dirt path is also much more sudden in the Wii version, whereas it looks much smoother in the original. And of course, there are no half pipes in the original version either. Finally, the last 2 item box sets are moved ever so slightly back compared to their original placement. For the final track, Bowser's Castle from the Nintendo 64, one of the first things I noticed is that the back of the starting line sign is plain white instead of being double-sided. I checked and this is actually the case for every track on the Nintendo 64, but I only realized it now. I also wanted to point out how the thwomps look significantly different between each version. Moving on to the track itself, the second item box set is completely absent in the original, and the final set of item boxes is positioned a bit further up, with the original version lacking the boost panel and fire pillars that were added in Mario Kart Wii. Also, the previous bridge section is much wider in the original. Finally, the arrows near the finish line that point racers in the direction of the goal were completely removed in the Wii remake. And that is all of Mario Kart Wii's main 16 retro tracks compared to their originals. I really hope you enjoyed this video and let me know down below what tracks you think were changed for the better or for the worse. But with that said, thank you for watching and I'll see you all around.